today that I put in my classes with both hands going, look, it's a really great pose. See how you go.
Oh, good morning, everyone. I'm sorry we're a little bit late. It's, technology, you know what it's like. But I'm going to pin Jill up there. And I'm going to stop hide my self view, and good morning, and I'll hand it over to Jill.
Super, thanks Leanne. Hi everyone, sorry about the delay. You know, Leanne and I are yoga teachers, not IT people, and we have a complicated relationship with IT, let me tell you. But it's okay, we got here. So I'm hoping today that you've got, I'm sitting on my block at the moment. When I practice yin, I have a blanket under me all the time because it's not a yoga practice that we move a lot with. If you've been in my yin classes before, I know you're probably saying just hurry up and get into it because they're so beautiful. If you haven't been in any of my yin classes before, it's like flipping a yoga practice on its head. We actually try and take away our muscular activation and we come into the cold tissues. Now, our cold tissues of our body are our fascia, tendons, ligaments, and bones. And they actually make up a higher percentage of our bodies than our muscles do. So, you know, it's really important that you have a broad practice of yoga, and this is working the other half of your body that you don't do a lot. It's essential that we work these tissues to give ourselves hydration through these tissues and mobility. And if you've ever come across someone that's maybe had an injury and hasn't moved that part of their body very much, and then when they go to move it, there's really decreased mobility. That is around like fascial tissue sticking together, and you'll hear things like frozen shoulders. It's just fascial tissue sticking together and not being moved or hydrated. So in yin, we really target that. You can get uncomfortable in this class. You work into sensation. So we actually ask you to sit into sensation. Sometimes it's really strong. Sometimes it feels really shitty, you know, but if you can use your breath to stay there with it and just work with it, okay, and see how we go. You need some props because we do use some props in our classes, but let's get started. So find your meditation pose for me today. This is just to connect with ourselves and just land on the mat. You don't have to sit cross-legged, truly, you know, whatever is comfortable. Many times I'll sit with one leg out, one leg in, maybe with my back to a wall or something else if I feel I need that support. You need to, in any pose with yoga, to feel safe and strong. So let yourself settle down and then gently close your eyes down. And this is the beautiful journey that we start with ourselves, the within journey that yoga brings us, the union of the self. So closing your eyes and you become gently aware of first maybe the breath. And don't try and change your inhalations or exhalations, just let it be. And then you maybe start to realize that maybe I'm hanging on through my shoulders a little. Maybe I'm hanging on with the muscles around the eyes or the face, and you start to let them go. So keep there, keep connected with the breath. So it's really interesting. We only become aware of that when we close our eyes. We are so externally stimulated, we forget about this inner journey. So important that we connect with ourselves. So if you can, try and nostril breathe, just relax the jaw. And I want you to feel. So we're interesting creatures, human beings. We can't feel and think at the same time. We think most of the time, but in yoga and especially yin, we want to feel. We want to take that thinking mind away. So just let yourself feel. And then the other thing I want you to feel is without judgment. So there is no right or wrong in what you're feeling. There might be some sore bits. There might be some stiff bits. You might be having, carrying an injury. It is what it is.
Did you have that lead it all done?
And just let it happen. Beautiful. Leanne, I think you've got your mic still on, darling.
Oh, I was just on this
So
thing, so
let yourself just
right.
meditate and just relax. So just be in your body and just let yourself feel it bit by bit. Again, with no judgment, just a sense of curiosity about this beautiful package, this beautiful body that is carrying you in this life. And just feel, don't think, just feel. Connect with that breath. We feel to be in the present moment. Thinking creates a story and takes us away from this present moment. So come back to that feeling. And now gently exhale any breath you may be holding, just let it go. And then inhale through your nostrils. And then just gently sigh out through your mouth, let it go. And one more, beautiful, inhale through the nostrils. And a gentle exhale out. Then gently open your eyes. And sometimes that's all it takes to connect back with ourselves. Okay, come out from whatever meditation pose you had. Now, I have been using the block a lot for the next pose. It's called Caesar toe tuck. It opens up the fascia on the bottom of your feet, which is connected to your whole body. Now, there's some certain sort of props that you might need here. This, you should feel in your toes. So let me show you what I do here. I come on my knees, I grab my toes, I grab them, separate them. Sometimes this funky little toe does some weird stuff, so you put it there. Now, this block, I have it on the highest profile. I stick it under my sit bone. And I come back into Caesar toe tuck. Beautiful. Now, this might be your option. Some of us who have maybe more open toes can sit with nothing underneath. That's cool. Now, if you have any knee problems, a really nice thing to do is to put maybe a blanket or a small bolster between your calf muscles and thighs, and you just sit back like this. You can have the block underneath your butt too. If that is like not being very good, you can get a bolster and pop it here as well. So you've got super lots of choices. It's really important that we actually open up the bottom of these feet. It's like if your feet aren't working well, nothing much is. I'm just going to put my timer on so we don't go too far. Go. So find your Caesar toe tuck. Now, in yin, we want to feel in the target area. So the target area is the toes and the feet. However, you might feel this somewhere else. And as we're sitting here, and I'll chat to you because, you know, a lot of times some of these poses are very challenging. So, you know, it's a little bit of me sort of giving your mind something else to think about but the sensation. If it gets too intense, come forward gently and take some weight on your hand. And when you can, come back, come and sit into Caesar toe tuck. Now, let me tell you about fascial tissue in the body. It is like a cobweb that holds us together. So at no time is any part of our body disconnected from the other. They have shown when they're dissecting providers? Oh, I haven't got that word today, but people, you know, dead bodies, that there is one sheet of fascia on your toes and the bottom of your feet that actually comes all the way through the body, all the way through the psoas, the diaphragm, around the heart, and then comes up, and one sheet comes to your forehead and one sheet out your tongue. So when you think about what we do to our feet, and girls, you know, I'm guilty of, like when I was younger, putting my feet in some crazy shoes. What we do with our feet affects our whole body. You've got 1 minute and 20 seconds here. See how you go. So it's important that, you know, we get our body into these shapes that maybe we don't in our day-to-day lives. Probably you have more opportunity where you are of going barefoot. I know I do it more in summer than in winter in Victoria. It's too cold and I wear, you know, boots and stuff. And so when I do this pose in winter, it's a little more painful because my feet are being more sort of in solid shoes. We need mobility, and our feet have so many ligaments and tendons that it's, you know, we need to ensure that we can move our toes independently to have great mobility. 30 more seconds, you're nearly there. And it's really interesting when you start unpacking anatomy, you realize how much, you know, each part is dependent on the other. Each of our toes has a nerve sensor that when it is weight bared, it triggers a signal to part of your pelvis to say, hey, you're going to weight bear soon, switch on. You know, so even that, you know, the touching of your feet on weight bearing, you got there. Okay, gently, I want you to come into rebound, and this will, whatever props you've got, come. Now just come onto your hands and let your feet just go. And you're going to feel, I don't know, you might feel tingling, you might feel coldness, heat. That is the sensation of energy moving through tissue and hydration. So we don't move in rebound, we just let this happen. So we let the body start hydrating and healing itself in these places. And now, I like to tap my feet on the mat, but, you know, other people like to sort of swivel their feet and you know, whatever. So you do what feels good for you here. And that's just a sort of, it's a little hug for the feet. Beautiful. Okay, so make sure anyway through this class that you actually take a drink, because we are trying to hydrate these tissues, and it's a gel-like substance that hydrates these tissues, but water is essential. If you've got a blanket, pop it underneath you now. The reason I work with a blanket is because I've got bony ankles and it feels so much better. So the next pose we're going to is called half frog. And I don't need any props for this. We see how we go. There are options. So what you're going to do is tuck your, I'll do it here, tuck your right leg behind you and your left leg out straight. Now, this leg can be here, it can be here, it can be here. And I've got an option if this is too painful here. So our target area is the hamstring of this straight leg. The back body when we come down, also maybe some adductor in here. So all you're going to do in this half frog, and you've really got to sort yourself out here. Where does it feel good where you're here? I have to bring my knee in a little. My hips do not like internal rotation. So, you know, I've got to play a little bit with that. And all you're going to do is take your hands up because we don't weight bear. Belly is relaxed. You take a breath and you come forward. Now, if this knee out here is really painful, all you do is flip it around and bring it in. Okay, so easy peasy like that. So don't sit in pain. Okay, we sit in sensation but not pain. So you've got this choice. If you can, flip it behind you, come here, and we're going to come and take it down here. So you sort yourself out. I'm going to start the timer. Okay. Okay. So let this foot relax, let your hands come down. And when you come into yin poses, you sort of come in where the body stops. And you just sort of taste the pose. I close my eyes a lot of the time when I'm in yin, and I just let it hang. Now, your head is really quite heavy, but it's a great prop and tool to use in poses. So let your head just hang. And the weight of that head actually brings the body down. So our target area is, the hamstring is our major target area. the back body, it's an asymmetrical stretch for the back body, which is one side. Maybe here on the adductor, but it's not so important. So again, if this is not doing your knee any favors, flip the foot over and bring it in, okay? And just let yourself hang and breathe. And breathe into the sensation that you're feeling. Be curious about this, about how it feels to get into this sort of position. So what we're trying to do here is create space in your body. We work in a different way with this cold tissue. It's called the cold tissues because when bodies are viewed within, you know, live bodies and how now they can view and put cameras inside, this tissue is white. Hence, it doesn't get a lot of circulation from the blood. That's why, you know, ligaments and tendons take a long time to heal because they don't have a huge blood supply. And these cold tissues don't react to movement like muscles do. What they react to is this holding, and what we call a stress. It's a stress holding. So what you might find as you've got your eyes closed is parts of you, maybe your back body or your hamstring, start to let you come down a little more. You know, relax your belly. And this is the tissue starting to lengthen and starting to let hydration come in it. And this is the only way that we get mobility and movement through this tissue. It's just these long holds. You've got 1 minute and 20 seconds to go. And hence, you know, I love closing my eyes in this practice because it's a beautiful internal practice. And I'm sometimes surprised when I come at the end of the pose to see how far my head has fallen down. What you might also experience is moving sensation here. Sensation in yin poses, the sensation that first hits you is probably where you're the tightest. So, you know, if you felt this in your back or your lower back or your hips, that's where you're the tightest. If you felt it in your hamstring, that's with this pose, that's where you are the tightest. But then sometimes it shifts. So again, you know, being super reminded of the connection of our bodies. You might feel it in the sole of your foot, you know, this stretching, and that makes a whole lot of sense because the fascial tissue is connected through the sole. You're nearly there, you've got 20 seconds to go. Stay with your breath, yogis. Just let yourself relax. No belly holding, no butt holding, just completely relaxed. Beautiful. And now, when you come out of these poses, move slowly. Support the leg. Now, I want you to come back into rebound, and this time it's on your back. And you're going to come down, 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 and then up by your side and lay as still as you can. So again, when we come into rebound on our back, it's around the body knowing how to heal itself. So we've given it this stretch. We don't want to trigger muscular activation because it will take the hydration away from this tissue. So what we're seeking now is just to rebound with no movement, just breath, and let the body do its thing. And you'll feel, you know, the sensations you're feeling is energy and hydration moving, which really heartens me in the respects of we are not passive passengers in our bodies. You know, we have so much influence over these beautiful bodies. And yin gives us the ability to influence in a really healing way. Okay, yogis, now you might want to move. Now, I want to give you choices here. Some people like to hug their knees in and do some big moves. Other people just like to wriggle toes or fingers. Other people like to stay still and just like let that happen until the last bit. Instinctively, your body will tell you. So let it happen. Beautiful. And then gently bend your knees up and roll to one side. And, you know, what we do on one side, we do on the other. If you need to grab a drink, please do. And this is, I love going from right to left or left to right, because this is where you can really find out how different your body is. So this time you have got your right leg out straight, left leg tucked. So again, you might one side tuck it and then the other side you might need to put this out here. Don't be stuck in that you have to look exactly the same. And it's a message that I say through my yarn practice. You know, what suits one side does not necessarily suit the other. So set this up, see how it feels. And when you're ready, just let your head drop into this pose. So I've started the clock. So let yourself go. Now, I forgot to tell you, if it's super painful for this hamstring, you might have a little towel or blanket and you can pop it under the back of the knee. Okay, remember, I want you to feel safe in this pose, but I want you to feel sensation, okay? And if you're in my class, I walk around all the time, you know, and my question to my participants when they're in the class is I want you to feel a 6 out of 10. So it's not a restorative class. You have to have a 6 out of 10. So as you come into this and your head drops down, you know, maybe close your eyes and breathe and just feel the sensation. So remember, our target area is now the hamstring of the straight leg. Back of the body is our second target. The adductor of this leg is the third. It's just a benefit. Again, if this is not doing your knee any favors, flip the foot inwards, look after yourself. If your hands are on the ground, flip them up, because we have a propensity to want to weight bear on them, and I don't want you to. So, and just let yourself come down. So when I come down to this beautiful pose, I feel sensation in my lower back. You know, it's a little bit tight there. I've been getting back into the gym to try and get a little bit more stronger. Yeah, and that's a real balance about, you know, just being strong and flexible. You have to balance that. So when I come into this and feel this in my lower back, my first reaction to doing this, because I've been doing yin for so long, I breathe into that area. You know, I think, oh, you know, that's a little tight. So I breathe into that area, and then I actually really consciously try and relax it and just let it enjoy the stretch that I'm giving it. So sensation is something that tells me, you know, this part of my body's a little tight, so it needs a bit of love. It's really interesting because as a culture now and a society, we are bombarded with pharmaceuticals that tell us, you know, you don't have to feel that, you don't have to feel this. If you've got a headache, if you've got pain, we can give you a pill for it. But I think what they've forgotten is those sensations tell us a story, and not all of them are bad. You know, even pain is telling us that, you know, somewhere needs attention. So hence in your yin practice, the sensations that you feel is essential. You're on your last minute, yogis. If there is a really sharp pain and it's not feeling good for you, just gently come out and pull out until you can actually sit in the pose. And remember your options. You can put something under the back of the knee. You can flip your foot, okay? But when you're sitting into this pose, can you tell me it's a 6 out of 10? Last 30 seconds. And the other thing I find, you know, yin really points out what sort of personality you are. And I have some A-type personalities, those go-getters, those busy people in my classes. And the biggest challenge for them is to stay still. So, you know, if you are one of those A-type personalities, I'm coming to lay my hands on your shoulders now and telling you to let go, sink in. Beautiful. Okay, yogis, as gently as you can, and whatever you need, you know, sometimes picking up this bent leg, gently, as little muscle activation as possible. Come back into rebound. Then lay still. Just lay still and let the body do its thing. All I want you to is breathe. And again, be really curious about where you are feeling this sensation. You know, where is it? You know, are you feeling it on this side that maybe was different on the other? And none of us have the same on the right and the left. You know, we're more dominant one side, we use one side more often, whether we consciously or consciously do that. You know, I try to use my left side as much as I can because I'm right-handed, but it's still, you know, I'm still more dominant. Okay, bring any movement, yogis, that feels good. You know, maybe the hugging the knees, maybe just the toes, maybe the knees up and just one side to the other. You know, what will work for you? Beautiful. And then roll to one side. Okay. Now, he's hoping this, because this is the big pose coming up, yogis. Okay. I always have a chuckle to myself when I do this pose because I always think, you know, I don't think we'll ever find this pose on the front of Yoga Australia magazine or anything. It's not glamorous, but it's great. Now, you may need some props for here. You will definitely need something under the back body, and I have it till it sort of sits here at the shoulders to take my bony processes of my neck. Now, I want you to sit and watch me as I come into the full pose, and then I'm going to actually show you the differences. This is called snail. And your imagination is going like, oh my God. It is about lengthening our whole back body, completely and utterly. Our lumbar fascial line is all connected. So I'm going to show you how I get into the full one, and then I want to show you a little options. So it's very much like a plow pose, what we would see in yoga. So I like to put my hands here, come up, okay, and I set myself up, but I take my legs wide, and here it is. This is snail. So if you're looking at it, and the reason I like to take my knees wide when I'm there, so I don't feel like too compressed, but what it's actually wanting to do is to compress all of this as well. It's giving your internal organs a massage. If you're looking at that and going, oh my Lord, no, there is a beautiful option. Bolsters, if you have blankets, pillows, whatever works. You come into what we would call a bridge pose. You bring this under your butt. So it's just at the stage as when you lay, sort of put your legs in the air, it tips the pelvis forward, and then you're into snail pose. It's a beautiful pose. It's not as intense as the one without the prop, but it just works you beautifully, okay? So see where you want to go with this. It's a big pose, you know, and as I said, you're not going to find this on the front of Yoga Australia. You know, there's no way you can look glamorous in this one. So you choose what you want to do here. We're going to stay here for 4 minutes. So don't freak out on me. This is a beautiful one for the back body. Girls with big boobies, I apologise now. You might get a little choked and that sort of thing, but get those knees wide. Get those knees wide and let your arms just hang at your side. You know, if you want to, you can hook them over the legs. It's just wherever. What I want you to feel this is in your back body, okay? And it is a beautiful stretch for the lumbar fascial line. So that's right from the base of the skull all the way down to your sit bones. The compression that we do here, so this is not one that I'm hoping you haven't had brekkie yet, girls or guys, because this really compresses through the digestive system, the liver, the lungs and the diaphragm, which is really beneficial for those areas because, man, when we come out of this, everything is going to be flushed with fluid. So breathe into the area that you are feeling the most sensation. You know, there's a whole big, sheath of your back body that I'm targeting here. So the sensation is going to come when where you're the tightest. So where you're the tightest is where it will be. So breathe into it. And on your exhalation, just let yourself relax and let go. Just let yourself surrender into this snail pose. It's, it's such a beautiful pose. It lets us really open up this whole back body line. There's huge fascial lines down our back body for a reason. It's super important to be strong. Our fascia also runs right through our muscles, tendons, ligaments, bones, and it even comes into around cells. So it's completely like this cobweb within us. So within your fascial tissue runs water, and in that water flows chi, energy. And, there is a saying, and I don't know if it's a yogi saying or not, but where there is water, there is life. So, we're bringing this into stagnant parts of your body, and there's going to be chi, life there. So you're in your last minute and 20 seconds to hold. Stay with this. This is a big pose. So, hence with this, I like to do yin at times where, people haven't eaten, because I don't think this would be very nice if you've had brekkie. So if you have, I'm really sorry. Try it again when you're on an empty stomach and it'll be a bit more pleasurable. Just breathe into this and let your body lengthen through there. Beautiful. You're on your last 40 seconds. Stay deep within you. Breathe. Use your breath. If you feel like that you're hanging on, take an inhale now. It'll be a little compromised, and exhale and let it go. So in yin, we don't focus much on the breath. We let the body do its thing. But when it's a really hard pose, I come into the breath a lot. And that just lets me stay there. You're nearly there, 10 more seconds. Beautiful. And now, I want you to be super gentle with yourself coming out. This pose gives me stronger sensation when I'm coming out into rebound. So I tend to really support my body and I let my hands slide down as I come down. And then let yourself come out, legs straight, arms at your side, and just surrender. So this, when I come from snail into rebound, this is strong for me. It's super strong. In my day job, I sit at a desk and do a lot of computer work, especially now. In Victoria, we're still, pardon me, not allowed to go back into our offices or anything like that. So, I can have a really tight back body. This is beautiful. Really lets me open up my body. So let it happen, let it happen. Beautiful. How good does it feel to have that energy just running around your body, hydrating that beautiful back body? We need a strong, mobile back body. So important. And the other thing that's happening in rebound here is your front organs like your digestive system, your liver, your lungs are really sort of like her work compressed, so suppressed sort of nutrition and blood. And now, whoa, when you open it, wow, it just rushes in. It's perfect. All right, yogis. Bring some. Now, what movement feels instinctive for you to come out of that pose? And it could be stillness. Don't try and second guess yourself. So we've got a short twist, just a short twist because we're nearly at the end of the class. So it's just a short twist to really bring some beautiful mobility. Now, this was a funny one. With my teacher, we were trying to decide what to call this pose. So gently let yourself come up. And I don't know if they still do it, the Toyota ad where they jump in the air. We actually we called it that, oh, what a feeling. So what you're going to do is you're going to come on your backs, knees are bent. You're going to have your feet as wide as the mat. Now, I like to have my arms up, but they're not hanging onto anything, but you might like your arms out to the side. And all you do is just let the knees fall one way. And that's it. That's all you need to do. So the way that the knees are falling is probably that top hip. You're going to feel some beautiful rotation of the spine. You know, you can bend your legs a little or a lot. If you bend your legs a lot, like the heels are close, you will get a sharper twist. If, you know, you don't want to bend that much, just walk the legs out a bit, but keep them as wide as the mat and let yourself fall. This is a beautiful one to tone the spine. Twisting is really good for our spine. But it's actually a more subtle sensation. It's, in our yin poses where we twist, you probably don't feel the twisting through the thoracic spine. You feel more like maybe in this where the knees are falling, that the top hip is opening. That's beautiful because there's attachments there of your obliques to the top hip that come across the spine. So you know it's sort of working. That rotation is working for the body. So our target area is the rotation of the spine. But because it's not a strong feeling, that you can actually feel it on any attachment through here. You might feel it through. If your arms are out or above, you might feel it through where your knees, the opposite side to where your knees are facing. There might be a feeling of the shoulder or the chest. Again, it makes so much sense because there's attachments through there that cross through your torso with fascial tissue. It crosses across here, and we need to keep that length here. So it's beautiful. Twisting is really a soothing. It's a beautiful soothing thing for ourselves. You know, and after doing such a big pose like snail, it's really nice to come into that, to actually let the body sort of like, oh, okay, that was a little challenging, but yeah, I've got it. So let yourself breathe into sensation. Now, if it feels like that you want more, you can experiment with your arms up. You can slightly, if it feels even better, play with where your upper torso goes. You can gently shuffle it to one side or the other. There's no right or wrong. There's just curiosity here about where you place yourself in this pose and how it feels for you. So yin has been probably the most dominant practice for me to find out how my body works internally. It's allowed me to be freer with my yang practice, my flow practice. It's allowed me to come to the mat and be super curious about how my body is today. And we change every day, every hour of the day, depending on what you eat, drink, what relationships are around you and how healthy or unhealthy they are, your self-talk, all of that changes all the time. So I'm always perplexed at when people come to the mat and practice yoga as why they think their bodies should react the same. It's crazy. Okay, yogis, A beautiful one is just gently lifting those knees out, letting the legs go straight, bringing your arms down by your side and letting yourself rebound. You know, you might feel in this pose, for me, I feel a more open and hip on the top hip, and the lower back feels lengthened because this is my tight area around my hips and lower back. But where do you feel this? Do you feel maybe that like a shoulder? Oops, someone set off a car alarm, sorry. You know, you might feel that that shoulder can drop down a little more and there's more room through that top side of that body. And now gently bring some movement to you, and instinctively, don't second question, just let your body be moved by it. So again, it can be a little movement or it can be a lot, wherever feels right. And then gently come into the other side. So bring the feet in, but make sure the feet are as wide as the mat. What do you want to do with your arms, your upper body? You know, what feels good? And then gently let them fall. Beautiful. Be prepared to change this a little. You know, you are different each side, so be prepared to change. Sometimes, you know, a knees dropping in may trigger some knee issues or anything like that, so you have to straighten your legs out much or tuck them in. Be prepared to feel this in a slightly different way. Maybe this is your good side that you don't get a lot of sensation in. So there might be, you know, arms above the head, and there might be a little shuffling of the torso to get that sensation. Play with it. And then just find it and surrender. Ask yourself, is this a 6 out of 10? It can be more. I don't really try and seek a 10 out of 10 because that's intense. You know, that's really intense. But, you know, 7.5, 8. When I have my class, I actually, even if people tell me they're in pain, I'd come and talk to them. I don't let someone stay in intense pain, believe me. But normally what I will find most of the time is it's not pain, it's really quite intense sensation. And when you relax into that and breathe into that area, it actually lessens. It's like a, oh, okay, it's not as bad as I thought. It's really quite interesting, you know, it's that first reaction and then you sit with it. And this is what yin gives us. So what is happening on this side? How does it feel? Breathe into the sensation. And this is where your body is the tightest on this side. Let it happen. So our chi, our energy, it's an intelligent life force. It's derived from the breath. In yin, we just let the breath do what it wants. And it's really quite interesting in Eastern medicine, pain and disease is a result of too little or too much chi. You know, it's all about the balance. So any stimulus that releases the flow of chi is healing. So poses that stretch and compress your tissue is exactly what we're looking for. You're nearly there, yogis. Beautiful. And now gently make your way to rebound, slowly. Let yourself gently come back, stay still. Stay still. Let the body heal itself. You know, we forget with all medical interventions and everything else, we forget how the body can heal itself. I don't know if I've shared this story with you before, but it's really interesting. I have some, medical people, and of course Leanne would know too, we have doctors, physios, body workers when come into yoga training, but it was really, I love talking to them. And they now, practice when people are in real trauma, like car accidents or something, and they come into A&E. What they've found now is they need to look after the immediate, what is life-threatening. They get that person stabilised, and then they place them in a coma. Because what they've found is the body needs time to heal itself. If they tried to fix too much, the body went into shock and most people died. So what they find now is they bring the body to a stability level, and then they put you in a coma and let the body start healing itself. So, this is being practiced in medical areas. And so this is bringing it out of that medical sort of setting, but letting your body in a more micro way of healing itself. Bring some movement to yourself, yogis, if you want, but we're going into Shavasana now. So you might want to put a blanket. I tell you, it's we've only got about 19 degrees today, top degrees in Victoria. We went from 29 yesterday to top degrees 19 today. So hence I haven't taken my jumper off today. It's a bit chilly. Coming to Shavasana. Now, it's really nice if you want to put a bolster under your back of your knees, laying down, blanket over, eye pillow if you've got it. Let yourself settle into this. And what I love about Yin, that it's actually sort of got me sort of like 3/4 of the way there with this internal quiet practice. Find your breath and just let yourself surrender. And I do apologise for the lawnmower across the street. Oh, gee. So as you come into this Shavasana, this last pose, how do you feel? Let the shoulders just go. Let your back melt into the floor. Let your buttocks relax. Let yourself be happy. Just breathe and feel, no thinking. So what you've done today is to stimulate that cold tissue in a beautiful, gentle, thoughtful practice where we place our body in a lower activity state where heart rate breathing can slow down. The body can start flipping into that healing and regenerative process. We release energy. We release qi, hydration. And this can have different sort of outcomes for us. Releasing energy can actually be something where you release some negative energy that's been stuck. There are some yin poses where I start feeling a little nauseous and I just know I have to breathe through it. It's just some stuck energy that needs to go. Let yourself just really luxuriate in that practice that you've done. To me, it's like hugging the inside of us. And now, gently come out of this practice. Just gently, maybe minutely move fingers or toes, or you might want to just stretch. Beautiful. Okay, and gently come up into any seated position that serves you today. Take your time. Don't hurry. Just let yourself be. And gently bring your hands together in your prayer mudra and the thumbs to heart. And from my heart to yours, yogis. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.
Namaste, Jill.
So if there's any questions from that practice, it was a short one, but I don't know, even now and then I'll practice yin for half an hour, you know, and it might be a Caesar toe tuck and maybe, you know, a half or full saddle if I'm feeling tight through those areas. Just really quiet practice is so beneficial for that tissue and pretty essential. But if anyone's got any questions, Leanne, please post them. You know, I can talk your leg off with yin because it's one of my passions. So please, you know, I hope you enjoyed it, and you know, get to know your body so well. So when you do come to the mat, it's just a sense of curiosity and never judgment.
Oh, there. Thank you, Jill. Thank you so much. I don't know if I was on the screen or not. I was trying to unpin you. Oh, look, thanks everybody. Yeah, it was interesting doing my practice with you today in the hull, especially the twist. So I was sort of like, where do I be? I would just stop the live. One thing before we go, I don't know if anyone else experienced it, but yeah, it was interesting doing the what was it, the half frog. Yeah, the half frog we did today. Yeah, the knees were really interesting. One was good and one wasn't.
Yeah, internal rotation, it can be really uncomfortable. I can't do both, you know, when like this and like that, when you go in, and that's about as far as I can go into internal rotation. So when I go into full saddle, I actually sit on my feet and go back that way. But it's only been my yin practice that I've actually realised, you know, because you do belt yourself up with a stick. You go, why can't I look like that person there? They're doing it.
Yeah.
Well, my body's not made to do that, so that's okay.
Yeah, it was a real trying for me to actually, I watched something the other day with the, as you said, with the rotation of the knee, that I actually had to sort of put my sit bone down and sort of rotate my my leg that was behind over, if I'm explaining that okay. So then it just took the pressure off the knee.
Yep. Yeah. And you have to let yourself do that. So, you know, and in my class, I get, you know, when I'm taking a class, I get really disappointed if I think people are looking alike, because I'm like, no, you're not all the same. You should be slightly different to you. And yeah. It's just a confidence thing of actually trusting yourself. But, you know, it comes with practice.
And the foot, I had to adjust the foot a bit in that one too as well. So yeah, it was all a little jiggle. But thank you again. I'll stop the live. Hope everybody has a beautiful day, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.
Bye, honey.